Science of Reading by Jessica Wortham. As we all know as educators, reading is a vital source in a child's life. Many educators are not aware of the science of reading. In order to teach students with fidelity, we must become familiar with and know how to teach our students how to read and speak correctly. What is science of reading? The science of reading is a large body of research from many different kinds of disciplines. This would include linguistics, cognitive psychology, and neuroscience. Even though the science of reading is not just comprehensive, it is conclusive for reading development. This is a reason that science of reading is important. When understanding the cognitive process, reading comprehension plays a major role. In science of reading, humans were not born to read. Some children can read effortlessly, but the majority need to be taught. This is where phonological awareness, phonics, fluency, and vocabulary enters a child's life. The simple view of reading. It starts with word recognition. It's when you see a word and recognize it. The punctuation, it should be recognized almost instantly. Phonological awareness is a critical requirement for decoding. This means that units of sound in spoken words such as rhymes, syllables, and phonemes. In decoding, students must understand the alphabetical principle and letter sounds. Sight word recognitions cannot be identified by sounding them out, so these words must be memorized. Scarborough's reading rope is associated with the International Dyslexia Association. This rope consists of upper and lower strands. The rope captures the challenges of learning how to read. This also helps identify students with dyslexia. There are 4 major processing areas of the brain that support word recognition. You have the phonological processor. This is the speech sound awareness. It is located on the frontal lobe of the brain. Then there's orthographic processor that focuses on letter and letter pattern recognition. This is located in the lower back optical part of the brain. There's also contact processor and meaning processors. They are kind of familiar, but they both focus on language comprehension. The location is in the back and middle areas of the brain. Lastly, there is angular gyrus, which these are the sound symbol associations. This area is in the middle of the brain. There are 4 levels of word reading. The first one is the pre-alphabetic phase. This is where students read words by memorizing visual features or guessing the word context. Second, you have the partial alphabetic phase. This is where students are able to recognize some letters and can use them to remember words by sight. Third, the full alphabetical phase. Students can decode words that are unfamiliar. Students can make the connections between the graphemes and phonemes. Last, you have the consolidated alphabetical phase. This is where students can blend graphing and phonemes into larger units that recur in different words. Here you have phonological awareness. A lot of people are familiar with the phonological awareness umbrella. Phonological awareness is the ability to hear and recognize spoken words. You can manipulate the sounds into language. Phonological awareness is not about the print we see, but the sounds we hear and speak. The reason that we have phonological awareness is because it is important to a child to must be able to pay attention to the sounds of spoken words before they can learn how to read. So if they do not know how to do the sounds, then they will not be able to learn how to read. Next, you have phonics. Phonics is the relationship between letters and sounds. This is how children learn to read. Once phonics is taught, students can read words in simple sentences. In kindergarten and first grade, phonics provides a greater result in word-level reading skills. When a student sees a word, the brain is responsible for familiar spelling and punctuation. Fluency. Fluency is the ability to read accurately, quickly, and with expression. Fluency is sometimes that is not automatic. It develops over time. As mentioned by Partners of Reading, children continue to develop the ability to read with proper expression and repeated practice. Here you have vocabulary. Vocabulary is the ability to acquire and utilize new words. When children are exposed to spoken words daily, their fluency and comprehension skills are higher. In order to comprehend the text, a child must understand the meaning of the word. When I was on the ADE website on RISE, it states that vocabulary is the glue that holds stories, ideas, and context together to make reading comprehension possible. So therefore, the more that we speak to our students, read to our students, or even our own children, they can accumulate a bigger vocabulary, and it can be bigger than a vocabulary than a student or a child that is not read to often. So this is why I think vocabulary is very important, and it definitely helps with the reading comprehension as well. Okay, next we have code emphasis versus meaning emphasis. A code emphasis approach requires students to be able to code or be able to know letters or words when it comes to early reading skills. A student will need phonemic awareness for code emphasis. So if a child does not know phonemic awareness or has not mastered phonemic awareness, code emphasis, it's out of the question. So just go ahead and make sure that a student can master that phonemic awareness. Then you have the meaning emphasis. This encourages whole word reading and introduces a large variety of words. Orthographic mapping. Orthographic mapping is the process of being able to form letter-sound connections. By doing this, students can recall the spelling, pronunciation, and the meaning of words. With orthographing, students have the ability to identify words by sight, such as sight words. So sight words cannot be sounded out. You cannot, like in the classroom, I have students either sound out words or finger spell words. So if you have, say put. If you sound that out, it's put. Well, therefore, you can't sound that out. So this is where orthographic mapping is important, because students have to identify sight words since they cannot be sounded out. Okay, in conclusion, we know how the brain develops. As we are learning to read, the brain develops in many different ways. This is where we have our phonological awareness, our phonics, our fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. A student must master these to be able to have successful reading skills. It takes the science of reading to help teach our students and program their brains. As educators, we must wire the minds of our students to help with reading development.